What's going on?
Have you, was it nitpicking over the ineligible men downfield from the officials, or is this something, you've had 11 of them now in 2 years?
Yeah, we've had a lot. But we've also created a lot of explosive plays off of them as well. I thought they made the right calls this week. So, we went through a process with this last year as well, and we had to coach it differently. And so that coaching point is still in our thought process. And still in our mode, and just for whatever reason it got downfield a little bit, and so there was one on a screen as well, and that was 100% my fault. I changed the timing of it just a little bit to try to do something to the defense and make it a bigger play, and the timing didn't work, and that's 100% on me. And so we're gonna keep working them, and we'll keep emphasizing the importance of what we emphasize on that play, and because it's a good play for us, and so it always starts with coaching, and that's where I thought the problem was. And was it nitpicky? I actually thought they made really good calls. The officials made good calls there in those situations.
But in RPOs, isn't it? How does the lineman know whether the quarterback is throwing the ball?
I think this might go probably more information than I want to give out, maybe off the record a little bit later. But he's not going to necessarily know. But there's still a coaching point to it that helps us out.
Hey, Nick, what have you seen out of Carson? Second part is, do you have to touch on his history here with the players at all, like during the course of the week, one way or another?
I think what you touch on, is that you don't ever leave a stone unturned, right? And so just like I think somebody asked me about the Hard Knocks, right? Did you watch the Hard Knocks? And like, yeah, we were looking for information, right? And when we played them, and all right, did you listen to Kevin O'Connell's press conference? Yeah, I was looking for information. Are you going to ask the people in the building that are familiar with Carson about him? Yeah, I'm looking for information. And so, that would be the same process. But I think he's doing a nice job over there. What I've seen, I've seen, he's obviously thrown for a bunch of yards, and we know that he can get hot and be really on, and we know he's powerful with the ball in his hands, and he can make a play at any time. And so, we're going through our process to get ready for him, and we know he can make a lot of plays.
When you talk about leaving no stone unturned, have you talked to Frank about him? From last year and how he was on the team last year.
Again, yeah, I talk to Frank all the time, and so but. Yeah, I haven't necessarily talked to Frank about Carson. Obviously, I've talked to some of the other guys there that I'm still close with about it, but and just doing just some small talk and everything like that. But of course, I mean, anything I can get, we're trying to get, and with information on him. And like I said, do you need to reach out as much to the Colts in this scenario? I mean, the building is so familiar with Carson as well that we have a lot of information at our hands inside the building.
Nick, what have you seen from the relationship between Shane and Jalen, and how it's grown since last year, and how that's kind of enabled Shane to get Jalen into a rhythm and play at a high level?
Yeah, we all spend so much time together, and Shane spends a lot of time with Jalen, and to understand what he likes. And like I said, Shane and I are in every quarterback meeting, and in every obviously talking through everything. And so, what are we going to do against this look? What are we going to do against that look? And so, obviously on a football level, they're very close, and then they've worked on their connection as well, of being close, outside the building, or with not just football, because that to us is not just a coordinator quarterback thing or a head coach quarterback thing, that's an organizational philosophy: connect, compete, accountability, football IQ, and fundamentals, and connects right at the top of it. And so I think Shane does a good job with Jalen of connecting with him outside, not just in football. And I think Shane is continued to do a very good job of connecting with all the offensive players. And then I look over, and he's always saying something to Fletch. And so, Shane's a really good coach, not just the X's and O's, but also, connecting with the guys.
Over the last
stands out about the way Jalen takes to coaching, you know, like coaching points you guys might have for him, just how he processes it and how he adapts and, you know, gets better?
It's almost as if he's grown up with a dad who was a coach. You know, so he's been getting coached his whole life, and again, like, I just can't say enough about Jalen the person, that like, we talk about all his abilities as a player, but the thing that makes you reach your ceiling as a player is when you have that other, you have the other things, right? The toughness, the love of football, the football IQ. That's what helps you reach your ceiling. Like, now, everybody's blessed with a different ceiling to reach, as we know, right? Everybody's ceiling is different based off of what God gave them. But those guys that reach that ceiling are what Jalen has inside, and that's what's special, and that's why you're continuing to see him develop, in my opinion.
Can I follow up on that? When did you realize that he could take hard coaching and even being yelled at on the sidelines in front of everybody?
He definitely said something to me early on. He's like, you can coach me hard, and I think I said, yeah, I plan on it, but I don't know if I actually had a aha moment with it. Like, it's just like, I know my coaching style, and sometimes it's it's something I need to get after him, and every time I've ever done that, he's handled it really well. I mean, the time that I think about probably the most, though, is that Washington game at home last year. I think I got after him pretty good, and he had a calm look on his face, calm demeanor, and did what we needed to do, and ended up having a really good game that game. And so I think that's just who he is. And again, like I said, I don't know if it was like this was the moment, but he definitely can handle hard coaching, and he handles coaching in general really well.
Zach Pascal has a couple catches now in both games. It seems like he's really gelling well with other receivers. How do you think he's handled his transition here with you?
Yeah, I think he's done a good job. He's doing what we've anticipated him doing, playing really well on special teams, and then being our enforcer. And then when you have an enforcer like that, when with some of the run stuff, with some of the screen stuff, with some of you're able to reward that guy because the looks that you're doing marry something else, and you're able to get him a touch that could turn into an explosive play. And so. He's doing what we anticipated him doing, and there wasn't a lot of projection like, oh, okay, Zach, we knew who Zach was, and we knew exactly what we were getting when he stepped in the building, and I think he's fit in really well with all the guys. Every time I come in here for a team meeting, he's shooting he's a pretty good jump shooter, and he shoots jump shots, and him and Chauncey are shooting jump shots every time I walk in here, and so he's gelling well with the team and making plays for us, which is great.
Hey, Nick, what was the theme or the example used with the group?
We talked a lot about competing, and again, last week was a little bit about connecting. This week's a lot about competing and just going. So it was competing, and it was about going. Anytime we start a Wednesday, I'm going to talk about the weekly process or the importance of practice or this or that. And we talked about the weekly process and not skipping steps or anything like that. I think when you focus on, and so the not skipping steps and the attention to detail, I think when you focus on, the process of the week and all those things, like, you don't get affected by the outside noise, right? And because obviously people are telling us how good we are now, right? And people, or whether it was last year at this time, and people are telling us how bad we were, right? When you truly are in the moment of where you are and focusing on what you have to do for that day, people can tell you whatever they want. Your job today is to do this and not to skip any steps. And okay, if we're as competitive as we say we are in this room and as we preach in this room, then I don't care if you're 2-0, 0-2, if you won 24-7, if you lost 7-24, you're going to come out and want to take that the guy you're playing's heart away from him this next game. And I don't care if you're playing a one-on-one basketball game. What did I get my busted about last year? Rock, paper, scissors. I don't care what it is. You are going to go and try to win that competition. And so you know, when you can stick true to your core values and what's important for a week, all the outside noise and all the waves of the season, right? I mean, we play once a week, so I understand. Like, you guys had a lot of stories to write about before we play again, and so we understand what it is. But you got to stay true to what you're doing in that particular day, and the core values that we have. And so, you know, that's what we kind of talked about.
How can you tell when they're getting that message?
Same way I can kind of get when you guys do it, you know, like the head nod. I don't know. You know, the way they come out and work, but I don't worry about that much here because we got great team captains and great team leaders. I mean, our captains are special, right? And they know they've been to the top of the mountain. Most of our captains have been to the top of the mountain and know what it takes to get to the top of the mountain and plant that eagle flag at the top of the mountain. So, you know, I got a pretty unique, as opposed to, you know, other head coaches in the NFL, I feel like I have a very unique situation with 4 guys on the offensive line, or offense and defensive line, that have been in the battle in the trenches and got to the top. And so they know and they help preach every message, and they're just great leaders.
When you got this job, there was still a little bit of uncertainty. Carson was still part of the organization. What was your sort of thought process there? Well, obviously you're excited to get the job, but did you start thinking about Carson? Did you start thinking about Jalen?
Sure. You know, obviously I was thinking about all the guys on the team and what the team was going to look like, what we were going to build, and how we were going to build with Howie, and you know, and so, you know, obviously he was on the roster when I first got there. So I reached out to a lot of different guys, but you know, it was the same process at every position. Trying to get to know the guys first, the connection, and then trying to get to know what the guys could do when I was watching the tape. But then everything's going to come back to, all right, I got to get my hands on the guys and figure out what they can do in person. And I think, where's Howard? Howard, you asked me like 6 times in my opening press conference, is Carson Wentz going to be the starting quarterback? I didn't forget that.
I saw after
No.
I saw after Monday night's win, when Jalen was addressing the locker room, he was obviously pretty amped up about the win, but said there's still something left on this table, that the team still hasn't reached what he thinks they're capable of doing. What do you see that's still left on the table that the team needs to do?
Sure. I mean, you see every year that a team starts 5-0 or 5-1 and they fall off, right? You see every year that a team starts slow and they build. And so we're so early in this, like there's so much time to build, and there's so much, like we are truly in the business of getting better every day. Me included, coaches included, like we're trying to elevate our play each day. And we know in this league that there's so many teams that start fast and then they fizzle off. So our daily focus is truly, I sound like a broken record. I'm saying it over and over and over again. Our process is trying to get better each day. And there's so much, like you're never going to come away from a game and say, well, that was good. That was good enough. Like, that's just not how we live, how we operate. And so, you know, like I said, just, you know, with the illegal men downfield, like there's mistakes I made there that I want to get better at. And it's always looking at, I'm always going to go through the process of looking myself in the mirror first. So I'm living that philosophy. Then I'm going to challenge the coaches, you know, offensively, defensively, and special teams, and that same philosophy, and then it will go down to the players. And so there's so many things that, you know, I mean, we started fast, great. And the defense stayed fast the whole time, and the offense, right, we didn't score any points in the second half, all right, and that's partly me. I think I took my foot off the gas and forced Shane to take his foot off the gas, and I know I did that, and that's not good enough on my part. So, you know, there's a lot of room for improvement. The penalties we need to clean up. The communication was better from Detroit, so you're just hoping to see that improvement each and every day. You know, the things that you're working on and emphasizing.
You mentioned Jalen's ceiling earlier. How did Monday night's performance, did it change your perception of his ceiling at all?
I don't think I know what his ceiling is yet. You know, I just continue to see him get better, and so, you know, so I knew he had that in him. And again, I'm not surprised by anything that Jalen does out on the football field, is because I've seen him doing this all off season. all training camp, practices, the meeting room, right? I see his growth over, just consistently all the time. We're not, maybe to the outside world, it's like, whoa, right? And I don't think that surprises us, any of us in this building, because we live with them every day, and we see them every day, and we see the growth every day, not only on the football field, but on the practice field and in the meeting room.
Nick, I know that you say the pressure is the norm in this profession in this city, but how do you think Gannon responded last week, and what specifically about his game plan impressed you?
Yeah, again, I think if you're listening to outside noise, and the waves of the season, it's just the waves of the season, that you will be affected by it, and you got to be where you are. And I think that's where I saw Gannon, like, okay, fine, here's how we're going to clean this up, right? And here's what we're going to do this week to put our guys in the best position that we think is possible to help them win the game. And that's exactly what he did. And he didn't allow anything to affect him on that, right? And so that's a great quality to have. Not everybody has it, and not everybody's built to coach. I get it. Not everybody's built to coach in this city or play in this city. But that's why we're trying to create this mindset, and the common denominator of players that are really good have this mindset of, I am in the moment of where I am right now, and I'm not worried about anything else. That's dog mentality, right? It's dog mentality to say, I'm here right now. I don't care, right? I don't care what I did in the past. I don't care if it was this good or that bad. I'm right here right now and working on how I'm getting better today. Because if I continue that trend, I'll get better. And that's Gannon too. And obviously, what I like about the game plan, he didn't let their best player beat us. Right, and and he did that multiple ways. It wasn't just all my eggs in the one basket with Slay, right? And sometimes it was Slay, and sometimes it was Slay and a different coverage guy in it, and sometimes it was a pressure, and Slay was the only guy on it. And so, that's good coaching to me.
All right, thanks. We got